Hi there, bonsai beginners. Today I'm going to do some explanation about a formal upright. This is a request uh, by a YouTuber in the name of Mako, and this is his post. Can you do a really basic series of tutorials on a Chokkan tree from start to end, just for beginners like me that know things only in theory but sadly can't do nothing in practice? At first I refused, but then I refuse because I do not have a Chokkan tree. This is the best that I can show. So it's just straight, and it will have branches, and showing that it is an old tree. So I wired it down like that, then chop, then wired another branch to be the new leader. So, but since I cannot, my model is not a good one, I'm just using a creeping juniper. So it's actually defying its nature, because this actually grows weird, wherein the top the leader goes down. So it's not a good model, but this is my project, which I am showing now because I am sort of asked. Okay, so but then Mako wrote again, posted again, and this is the post. Every book I've read recommend a Chokkan tree because you can style it mathematically and symmetrically, and it seems a good method for a beginner. Obviously, I don't have any experience, so I could not say it is difficult or not, because I answered him it's quite difficult making a formal upright. But so today I am planning to, but eventually I told him I'm gonna make a video, because I thought maybe he doesn't have an access to any bonsais who can tell him, or maybe it's not with any club. So I decided to make this video as a lecture, and it is more about the mathematics and the symmetry. Okay, firstly, what are the characteristics of a formal upright? So, formal upright trees are, oops, that's a crooked one. Anyway, formal upright trees are a motif of trees in vast areas, wherein it doesn't have a competition. It is growing straight up, and you have branches there, then you have back branches, and you have branches, and so basically the form is, you have a triangle and you have a sharp apex. Sharp apex, you have a triangular form. It may be symmetrical, or it may be an oblique triangle like that. But what is necessary, that you have a almost straight, perfect straight, a trunk line. So, and the other features is trunk line straight. Okay, let me, trunk line. You have a straight trunk line, and next you have taper. Okay, and lastly you have a nebari, or the root flare. Okay, now you have to attain all that to have a beautiful formal upright. So that's the question of how to attain, and where is this first branch, like that. So ideally your first branch, okay, should be 1/3 of your total height. So okay, that's about 1/3 of T. Let's just say 1/3 T. Okay, I'll do that again. 1/3 T. Where your T is your total height. Okay. T equals total height. So it's a wrong proportion. Anyway, that's about 1/3. Then your next branch, which is your second branch, assuming this is your first branch, and this is your second branch. Should be about 1/3 of the remaining height. So assuming this is your, okay, another 1/3 of the remaining height, which is here. So this second branch is there. Okay, supposing this is the first branch, this is the second branch. So another 1/3 of the remaining height. Okay, anyway, we'll put specific numbers. Okay, so the first thing is that rule number 1, you have to have a ratio between your trunk thickness and your overall height. So assuming let's say we are going to grow a 2-inch trunk, 2-inch diameter trunk. Let me check if that can be seen. Let's say we aim for a 2-inch trunk. Okay, you have a ratio there wherein your height should be maximum height should be only 12 times your diameter trunk thickness. Okay, so your target is a 2-inch trunk. You're planting a 2-inch trunk, or you get already a nursery tree with a 2-inch trunk. Okay, you have only the height should only be 12 times the trunk thickness, and that's equal to 24 inches. So that is the maximum height that you can go to, at least have a proportion. You can go as lower than 24, but let's say you try to go to its maximum height, so that's 24 inches. And there's another rule, okay, that your first branch should emanate 1/3 of total height. So 1/3 of 24 is at 8 inches. Okay, that is where your first branch should emanate. So if this is your total height of your tree, 1/3 of that. So if this is 24 inches, this becomes now 8 inches. Now, how to make your first branch be at exactly or approximately at 8 inches? So, assuming this is your first branch, no, we'd like it there. The way to do that is you trunk chop. Okay? The way to do that is you trunk chop. You have to cut there at 8 inches. Then the response for that, the response of this plant, you should have a very vigorous plant. Okay, it is healthy and it's growing. There will be many shoots that will grow there. Okay, mostly, now, pines and conifers, which are the best material for upright position, are very apically dominant. So apically dominant means they really grow fast here. Assuming that you do not cut, so if you have to leave it, then it will really grow tall. But since you have cut it here, many shoots will grow there. Then you have to select which of the highest branch that is, or shoot that is growing there. You should wire it. So assuming there are only 2 left, you wire the most apically positioned branch. Instead of letting it that way, go like that, you wire it to become the new leader. Okay, so it is expected now that this new leader will grow the fastest, and the next leader opposite it, you wire down like that. So you put wires and let it grow sideways. Okay, of course, this one will grow faster than this. Okay, why do you need to trunk chop? Because we want to attain taper. Okay, so this will grow faster than any of the shoots. if you have other shoots here, you may cut it, dispose it, or you may allow it as a sacrifice branch to help fatten this lower trunk. Okay, so assuming there are no, to keep things simple, let's just say there are 2 branches now left. So this one is the new leader, and this one you have wired to become your first branch. Okay, first branch. And then when the thickness of this, trunk thickness of this new leader reaches 3/4 of the trunk thickness, which is 2 inches now, assuming this is 2 inches. Okay, there. Now, when this is already 3/4 of 2 inches, assuming this is already like that, thick like that. So actually, you may not perfectly attain a straight one. There will be like this one, like here, it can be shown. So, but anyway, it will still assume almost straight. When this is 3/4 now of the thickness of this, you chop again, and your second branch will be 1/3 of the remaining height. Okay, so this is now 1/3 of remaining height. So what's the remaining height? That is 24 minus 8, right? So the remaining height is 24 minus 8 equals 16. Okay, so 16, 1/3 of that. So okay, if this is the remaining height, RH, 1/3 of that for your second branch is how much? You have already 24 minus 8. Let me check my math. Okay, you did your first trunk chop at height 8 inches. Okay, then the second trunk chop will be at height 13.3 inches. So, assuming this is now the, okay, this is 13.3, this is 8 inches. Okay, the second trunk chop will be at 13.3. So how did we get 13.3? This is the calculation. Your original height was 24 minus 8 inches because this is your first trunk chop. The remaining now is 16 inches. So from the 8 to up to the total height is only 16 inches. So 1/3 of 16 inches, 16 divided by 3 is equal to 5.3. So now you have to, from the 8, you have to add 5.3 inches. Okay, when you add 5.3 inches, that becomes now 13.3. So this becomes 13.3. You second trunk chop again. So in your second trunk chop, remember your first trunk chop was at 8, your second trunk chop was at 13.3. Again, the response will be, there will be many shoots. And then you wire another wire again. You wire the new leader there, going up, and you wire the second branch. So you have to do it opposite. Okay, so first branch, second branch. So, okay, where do you make your third trunk chop? So the answer is 16.8. At the height of 16.8, you make another chop, which is the third chop now. And how is this 16.8 computed? So originally you have 24 inch. That's the plan, 24 inch. But then you make another trunk chop at 8, and then another at 13.3. And this one now is calculated as 24 minus 13.3. Okay, then the remaining height, the remaining length from your second branch, is computed as 24 minus 13.3. Okay, this is 13.3 here. So that's not the one. Okay, this one. This is 13.3. This one is 8. 13.3 plus 3.5 equals 16. 13.8. How is 3.5? That is 1/3 of the remaining height. The remaining height is 24 minus 13.3 is 10.7 inches. So 1/3 of 10.7 inches is 3.56. So at 13.3 plus this is the 1/3 of the remaining height, which is 3.56. 13.3 plus 3.56 equals 16.8. So 13.3 plus 3.5 is equal to 16.8. So the remaining height is 13. The area where you have to cut is 8 inches, 13.3, and you have here a 3.56. So your new trunk chop now will be at 16.8. So first you made a first branch here, you wired the first branch here, then you wire the second branch. Now you have to put a back branch. Okay, put a back branch. So that, of course, the same process, the remaining height, you will have another 1/3 of the remaining height, then you make another branch, then of course, another branch to the opposite, then another back branch. Then until you reach the top, and that will be your canopy. Okay, why do we need to trunk chop? That is to create taper. Of course, during growth, assuming during your first cut here at 8 inches, this new leader will thicken faster than this original trunk. That's its nature, because in order for this to thicken, you have to have so much load there, in terms of demand on nutrients and energy transmission. But in this case, this will have to grow fatter in order for this to grow. So when this one approaches this size, that's the only time this will grow. But it will never grow that fast, because at 3/4 inch or at 3/4 of this diameter, that's the time you cut again. So this will still not grow. This will not grow in thickness. It will wait for this new cut to thicken again. So when this becomes 3/4, this new leader becomes 3/4 thick of this lagging trunk, then it will be trunk chop again. So this will never really grow that thick, unless you have other sacrifice branches. So that's another story. So anyway, so that is how taper is created. The physiological action of the tree is that it will wait. This will wait for this to thicken, and this will wait for this to thicken, and so on and so forth. So in effect, is you will be creating taper. So thickest at the bottom, then it decreases its girth as it goes up higher along the trunk line. Okay, now another requirement. Branch girth for your first branch, second branch, third branch, back branch, and so on and so forth. The requirement is that the branch girth, or the thickness, the diameter of your branch, should only be 1/3 of the trunk maximum. You can go 1/4 to just 1/3, but if that increases, say the branch now is very thick as 1/2 of your trunk, then it's not good to look at. It's a little bit unproportioned. At least that's the guideline. So the way to do this, the danger here, or the thing that you have to be precaution, is that the first branch would be very old by that time. By the time you reach that 24 inches, around that, your branch would be very old. So you have to control its growth by clipping. You know, when you clip foliages, when you clip secondary branches, the primary branch will not as thicken as possible. So this is a thing to watch for. Okay, this is another thing. Wiring your new leader. This is supposedly a branch after a trunk cut. Wiring a new leader is quite a skill. So you partner your wire with your branch that you are going to grow, and the new leader, and then you, for example, if I'm using this one, then you let it wire it up. Okay, you wire it there, then you let the first wire there and the other wire go up, and then you have to move it. Okay, then from time to time you have to check whether this is really growing straight. Okay, so that's that's one thing that you have to be good at. You have to know how to wire, and you have to watch that this is not biting. So when it's biting, you have to replace a wire and then wire again, so that this will really go straight. So that's the secret to let it go straight. Of course, it will not be totally bulging. It will not be totally straight. Okay, here's the explanation. Assuming you have just cut this, okay, the response will be shoots again here, shoots. And if you look at the top of your trunk cut, your new shoots will not grow from the center of your trunk cut. It will be only at the cambium. Okay, so it will grow from here if that's the top view. Okay, assuming this is the highest shoots that grew and you have wired it, so it's only at the side, and then as it thickens like that, it also thickens from this side. So you have to wire it well, that somehow as best as you can, this can become straight instead of growing like that. Okay, so a curve can really be there will be sort of a curve there. So because the shoots will be growing only at the cambium like that, not from the center of your tree. Okay, another thing that I'd like to talk about is diebacks. Okay, when you trunk chop, supposing you cut here, there's a possibility that even if you place a well cut paste there, assuming you protected with cut paste, not all the shoots will not exactly grow from here, which you want. Sometimes this portion can die back, and your shoots will only grow from there. So this might be the highest shoot. So if you want, you can put an allowance. So for example, if this is your height that you want to get, you can cut here putting an allowance. Maybe you cut here instead. So, but anyway, if that dieback is very few, it will not be noticeable. So anyway, this can happen, diebacks. Now, if you have not protected and it will be long, then it will destroy your symmetry. But anyway, to compensate for diebacks, that's easy. You just put an allowance, say 1/4 of an inch, or maybe to a half. In this case, that you're doing a 24 inch. Now, carving trunk chops. Okay, so assuming your tree is going that way, okay, or your trunk is now going that way, and your second shoot is here, so this is your branch going there. You have this rectangular portion there, a corner. So to have a smooth transition of your new shoot, now you carve it there with a knife or a grinder, so that this will, assuming this is still the new like that, then it will transition. It will easily transition there, and your cut cannot be seen. Okay, the next thing, 2 items more to talk about, is the sacrificial branches and thick trunk proportions. So as I have said, when you trunk here, it's not only 2 shoots that will grow. There will be other shoots which you might want to retain to help thicken this further. So assuming you have originally planned for a 2-inch trunk, then and you finish with a 2.5, then that would still be that will be good, because your tree would look more powerful. So to make your tree more powerful, you have to reduce your height. So assuming you target for a 2-inch, then target for an 18-inch height. tree, then basically the same process. Okay, 18 inch, that is now your new height, and 1/3 of that, so everything is it follows that direct dimension. So sacrificial branches is to help thicken, but remember your sacrifice branches, for assuming this one, if you have so many sacrifice branches, it will be hard for you to wire, because you have to go inside that very intricate branch. So maybe you can reduce it, or maybe if you do not want that, so you just make one branch and a new leader, and after it trunk chop, another branch on the opposite side and a new leader, then another, as you go along, then you take it one at a time. But the thing is that you can make sacrifice branches, and that will really help your tree to be vigorous because it has many branches. Okay, again, but the wiring from, assuming you're wiring and there's a very close branch here, and still you're going to put it here. So okay, that adds to the difficulty. But you can also have, actually you can also have a tree which has, yeah, if you see pictures in the internet, the branches are really very close to each other. See? So although it's not totally parallel, but this is the first branch, you have a second branch. But what you have to be really take note is the taper, that you should be able to attain the taper. Okay, that nothing is thicker here than it's below. So if that is the dimension there, nothing should be thicker from any of the below. Okay, that is the thing. Then if you notice, the foliages are basically at the right, left, back, right, left, back. Very seldom that you grow tree from the front. So if this is now your total height, your front, that should be your branches grown at the front, which will be covering, should be just about 1/3 here remaining. So this should be 3/4. The first 3/4 of your height of your tree, you should bear it. So maybe if there are branches that are slightly oblique, so like that, but you have to let the viewers see the taper of the trunk, because that's the one of the best feature of Chokkan. So you have to let it glimpse of the trunk totally from here. You bear it, maybe you can bear it, then the taper should be visible. Then when it goes here, when there are other foliages here, then at least that's just 1/3 of the remaining tree, then they can assume that there is really a taper there. So okay, but then there's another thing, the nibari. Okay, so I have already talked about this, taking trunk proportion. Okay, the nibari. One feature of Chokkan is that you should have a root flare, and that root flare is as much as possible balanced, and possible, if possible, nothing pointing to the viewer. So okay, so but that is, how is that attained? That is attained usually because when you are growing your tree, even only at 2-inch trunk, you will have to grow your tree about 4 to 5 feet tall. Okay, 4 to 5 feet tall, sometimes even taller if your tree grows too much or grows fast. Okay, I also advise that you select a young tree to make into a Chokkan, because it's not about the age of the tree, it's how it looks, how old it looks. It's not about how. So a young tree grows a lot faster than an old tree. So that's my advice. You select a young tree which grows fast, and then you're gonna trunk chop that to attain the taper. So the nibari is, you should be radially growing. So there's a technique for that. Either you plant it in the ground, or put it in a large spot, or put it in a colander. A colander is a like the tree. Okay. Anyway, I'll talk first the tile style. The tile is when you plant this in the ground or in a large spot, you put something here. We usually use tiles, okay, so that the roots that will grow there will not penetrate downwards, rather it will have to go around the tiles, okay. And then when it grows big there like that, you can chop it off, then you have a nice radial root there. Okay, that's a tile technique. But what I'm using is the colander technique. Okay, this was the tile technique I was talking. Well, I'm sorry, that cannot be seen in the previous slide. But this is a tile which you have laid underground before you planted your tree. So your roots will be forced to go radially first before going deep into the ground or into your big pot. But another technique is the colander technique. This is a plastic tray with many holes, and then you put it there. You plant your tree there, like that. And you put this in the ground, partially submerged to the ground. So assuming this one, roots will come out here. So by the time you manage your trees, maybe once every 2 to 3 years, you remove this from the ground and cut the escaping roots. Even below, you cut also here, all around, and then you submerge it back to the ground. And the effect is that the roots will branch out from the inside, and you have more compact roots, and compact and at the same time radially. So this is the best technique. It's called colander technique. I learned this from Nelly Stoyanova. She has a Facebook, and she's a bonsai teacher for free, and that's for free. You can visit her also, or you can go visit her Facebook, Nelly Stoyanova. That's her name. So this is the colander technique. You can use this. This is the best, which I advise, because it's easier. You have to manage your root, because by the time you have your tree and your roots are just going all the way down, and there's a tendency that you can weaken your tree severely and could lose your tree. Now, if you're going to start your Chokkan project, I suggest that you plant many. So start with if you're starting from seed, you start with 5, 7, 9, like that, because you can make a forest out of it. See? So maybe you would try something very attainable, like just target 1 inch. 1 inch. Although of course the bigger your trunk, the thicker your trunk, the longer it will take you. So maybe have a project of about 5 trees targeted at 1 inch trunk diameter, then another 3 at 2, then 2 inches, then another 2 at 4 inches or 3, like that. So you can have a quantity which is manageable. If you're working, then maybe less than 10. You can still manage that at less than 10. Okay, so that's it for now. If you have questions, then post it in YouTube. Have a nice day. Hope you learned something. And the way this one is for Mako, this is his request, and hope Mako will be able to see this video and post a reply. Thank you.